Veil with Adina. We are doing a later than usual live tonight, but there is a crowd and a market for everything and everyone, including the late night Beyond the Veil with Adina. So I thank you guys for joining me. If you will be joining me this evening, if you're new around here, I am a medium, wise woman, oracle, necromancer, prophetess, priestess, and I do all of those things around here on this channel. So if you're not into that, I just ask that you leave just as peacefully as you've come. And if you are interested in that kind of thing, I invite you to stick around and make yourself at home with my community as soon as YouTube notifies them and lets them know that I'm live so that they can come on in. To all of my regular viewers, subscribers, busted babies, OG watchers, bush watchers, and everything in between except for trolls, happy Sunday evening, happy late night with Adina. It's only 8:42 where I am, but considering again the time I usually come on live, it's late night, and I hope I don't miss my audience. Speaking of which, hello Adorned, hello Mama Fakit, hello Sammy, hello Leo, hello Angel. Feels like a members live even though this is public, so we'll see if YouTube allows me into the algorithm. I believe part of that is my problem because I have not been consistent with the schedule and they don't honor that. But again, y'all just work with me through these little tumultuous times of me touching grass and living life. And I promise you guys, we're going to be off again. Thank you guys for the hearts. Thank you guys for the likes. YouTube, please. I see that you guys only allowed 6 people in here. Those are my members. YouTube, I just ask that you notify all 3,790 of my subscribers that I'm live, and also put me in the algorithm, please. Even if you don't do that, please let all of my subscribers know that I'm live. YouTube, thank you. Um, I still am planning on utilizing other platforms outside of YouTube since they are not nice to me anymore. YouTube seems to not want me on their platform, so we'll see where that goes. It says 5 people are in here. It's almost 3 minutes in. So I am just going to chat with you guys for a second while I allow YouTube to kind of get with the program. I just, would like to access all of my subscribers. Even if you guys put me on the shadow ban, allow me to access the people who want access to me. With that being said, happy Sunday evening to all of you guys. Something has been on my spirit for a few days, and I've been silently pondering. And I could have done this reading personally, but I decided to do it here publicly with all of you guys. Um, because if I tell myself I'll read something publicly, then I won't care enough to do that in my spare time. You're having trouble hearing? Yours truly, Toya. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I do have a mic, but I do not use it because I'm recording on my phone. So when I get my new setup, you guys will have, we'll have a little bit better production going on around here. And I will do that when I move. So if you guys could just bear with me for a couple of more months, and we'll have a whole new program running around here. Hey, Diamond. I'm looking divine. Thank you, girl. Thank you. I'll take it. Let me ship. Thank you. You guys look divine to me. All my day ones are in here. So a couple of years ago, I did a reading on the upcoming use or the upcoming push of Christianity from mainstream. If some of you guys were here and remember that reading, and that was more of an oracle message I did, that too was on my heart to do. I think I did that one outside. I wasn't doing lives then. It was back when I was recording videos. And I did talk about um, this had to be 2024 or 2023 when I talked about how Christianity would be pushed in the mainstream. And that message was put out back then so that those who were able to hear it could be aware and steer clear of the traps. Simply because I don't think you're trolling yours truly. I believe you. And I'm sorry. I don't know how to fix that without utilizing my mic. And the problem is I have my charger plugged up, and if I put the mic in, I'll have to unplug my charger. So eventually I'll need to charge my phone while I'm doing the live, and then I have to unplug the mic. So I guess I could just try it that way. We'll see. Hold on. Let me see. I have about half a charged battery. So, and I want everybody to be able to hear me. You're not distracting me at all. You are very much important here. And I want you to know that. All right. So we'll do this, and I'll keep it on until my phone starts dying. And then I'll have to switch. Just clip it to my bra. Maybe that'll keep it. Okay. And then the cords. I'm coming, you guys. The cords. I used it once in a members live. I used it to try to test it out, and it worked just fine. All right, so I guess a piece goes. I'm coming, you guys. Oh wait, this how I don't even remember. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't remember how to use this because I only used it once before, and I don't remember. So just thug it with me tonight, and then I'll figure it out tomorrow. Or do I? Oh, yeah, I do remember. Okay, I think I do remember. Okay, so a piece goes on here so I can plug it into my phone like this. Let me unplug my charger, plug that in, and then the other piece goes into the mic here. And then I turn it on by pushing the power. We got a green light. We got a green light. All right, mic check. Can you guys hear me? Is that any better? Somebody tell me if that's any better. Yours truly. Did that make any difference? Okay. Well, I'll pretend like it did for now. All right. So as I was saying, it's perfect. Okay. Okay. All right, you guys. Now, once I get my new setup, y'all won't have to see me here plugged up like I'm on life support. But somebody complained about the sound before, so I went and got a mic. You guys tell me what to do, and I do it. I didn't even figure out how I was going to make it work or look aesthetic or hide anything. I said, "You can't hear me, huh? All right, say less." So you guys can watch me grow and develop around here. From life support mic to a whole new setup in a couple of months. All right. So, as I was saying, a couple of years ago, I got a message from Spirit to tell me to alert the people about how, in the near future, Christianity would be pushed by the mainstream media. Um, First and foremost in Hollywood, because those are where your influencers are, and politics as well. And that message came out because it was not a condemnation towards Christians. Most of you guys know I am bi spiritual. So I will pray with everyone. You'll listen as best as possible. So you still can't hear me? Yours truly. You still can't hear anything better? Anyways, it's not a condemnation to um, good intentioned or well to do Christian believers. For those who are following Christianity as a path to spiritual enlightenment or self actualization or things like that, then that message was put out so that you all don't get caught um, in the thorns in the near future or in some time in the future. I didn't know. I didn't give a time frame for when that would be. I just know that the spirits put it on me to put the message out, and here we are. It is 2026. It's been about a year and a half or 2 years at least since I did that reading. And look around you. Just look around you. If you haven't seen it, I have. Recently, or as of late, within the past year, I have seen Hollywood embrace Jesus specifically. Jesus. And I'm one who observes everything. I'm one who listens to every word that is said, even the words that aren't said. And what I notice is that I don't see a lot of Hollywood or even the politicians that have been proclaiming Christians or to believe in Jesus. For one, I usually look for the fruit of that. I look at people's lifestyles. Anyone who knows me knows that I practice some sort of spirituality. Some people who are more educated on the matter can usually pinpoint or maneuver their way around who I am spiritually. And those who aren't that educated will just say something like she's spiritual. That's because it's not something that I put on in the daytime and then take off at night. It really. I remember, Leo, when they took that out of the schools. When I was in school, a child, I remember when politics banned to push prayer and Bibles out of schools. In fact, I remember when they weren't allowed, even though nobody really checked you for it. But I remember when they implemented that. So I wasn't aware of that, but thank you for bringing that to my attention because that just fits even more into what I'm trying to point out here. But it's not even lit up anymore, so I don't know if it's on or off. So just bear with me, please, you guys, without the mic. Maybe it needs to charge because I haven't used it before, really, except for once. So maybe it needs to charge. Nevertheless, I notice that specifically, what, like I was saying, I look for the fruit. Some things you can put on because they're a trend or because you're indoctrinated to. You grew up in a society where it is a Western form of Christianity. And so that's kind of what your claim to fame is. But I tend to look for the fruit within the person because when people embark on spirituality or esotericism, I usually look to see some form of change or development in that person. Because that's usually why people pursue those paths is, to change themselves. But historically, with Christianity in the West, and even more today, I'm noticing that mainstream is hyping up Jesus specifically. Almost every celebrity and their mama these days is saying that they believe in Jesus. Now, I don't think that church is a requirement for you to be a Christian, but these people are not a part of any congregations, which is usually a practice of spirit of Christianity. They do usually do not, participate in any of the rituals. In Christianity, we only just hear them say it when they're speaking. And so that is, and when I saw it in politics, when I saw it by the administration being used, and I even mentioned it, um, that that is their religion to claim, and so they can do with it what they please. But I found myself saying, this is what you were calling me to see years ago. And here it is in its fullness now. And so, for those who weren't here to hear me predict it or prophesy it years ago, I'm going to do a refresher now that we are living in that moment. But I'm going to approach it not from cynicism and asking why the industry is pushing Christianity, because it's one thing to say they're pushing it because they've embraced it, mind, body, and soul. But then there's another thing if they have not embraced it in a human way, in a soul way, then my question would be, what is the reason for the Jesus season? And yes, I do know almost every celebrity practices a spirituality that is not Christianity. Why? Because of the power. You know how they say there's power in the name? Well, in spirituality, you practice, you do the ceremonies, you do the rituals, you do the invocations, and you get the results. You don't have to pray for all your life, for generations, and not get results. Nevertheless, 2 years ago, in the same year that I did this message, I gave them a warning and an omen to the spiritual community. And I said that they would be coming for us, not not the superficial, trendy ones that they promote, but the lights, those of us who are in the trenches, they would be coming for us. And I look around at a debate that I heard, or a conversation that I heard between Akbar and Cardi B. Now, I don't need them to understand what time that we're in, but I use them to help you understand what time that we're in, as examples, because that is where a lot of the audience on social media, they tend to pay attention to social stuff. And that was recently in the blogs. There was a disagreement between Akbar and Cardi B about whether Cardi B is a true Christian when she is believed and alleged to have historically practiced Santeria. Now, that is the Cardi B that I knew of. When I first became aware of her, I saw a photo of her and her, I believe, grandmother and maybe some other women in her family participating in a ritual. I saw her, the money altar in her home, and I have done readings on Cardi B, so I see her. And so I wasn't surprised when I saw her recently coming out claiming Christian. In fact, it was the day before her going online and proclaiming Jesus. You guys were just here a couple of days ago. When I did the Let's Chat, one of you guys asked me to look into Cardi B, and I did. And we talked about the Destiny Swap attempt at the BET Awards. And what did I say? Anybody remember? I said, Cardi B, you're gonna have one major obstacle in pulling this off successfully, and that is your spirituality differences. I said you would have to abandon your ancestors if you're going to be able to successfully do this destiny swap. It wasn't 24 hours later. As a matter of fact, when I saw that in the blogs, I pulled out my cards. I said, bitch, did she see my live and say, oh, that's what I got to do? Because it wasn't even like I chose that topic. You all asked me to do it. And there it was. And I literally gave that omen. I said, Cardi B, I see what you're doing here. But there's one step, because Nicki Minaj is under Jesus. So you are under a different form of spirituality, more ancestral. Nicki Minaj's ancestors weren't Christians, dating a while back. before colonialism. So that's why I said Cardi B's spirituality is more ancestral. And so, in order to embody, there's a ritual that you can do when you walk in somebody's foot tracks and their footsteps. It's very old. It comes from back in the day before all of the roads were paved. But walking in someone's footsteps or taking their footstep dirt, you can do that to either throw them off their destiny or their path and place yourself in it, or join yourself along with theirs. If you don't want to push them out because you know they're going to lead you to success, then you attach yourself to it. So that's what I'm saying intentionally. Cardi B, if you're going to walk in her footsteps, then you're going to have to also follow her to Jesus. And you're going to have to abandon her ancestors. No more than 24 hours later, she did exactly that. And what's been going on? She's been crashing out a little bit, I think. I saw some crash out between her and Akbar. So I say that to say that there is a real push for Jesus, and I'm here to see if it's a genuine spiritual awakening happening on a mass scale. Because I usually feel like I am cynical or, the bearer of bad news. And typically, oracles and messengers aren't here to tell you, hey guys, everything's just fine. Because you would know that, right? Messengers come when there's a message to be delivered. I know, Sissy, I'm so glad that there is somebody in this world who remembers um, most of the details that I put out there. And somebody asked, well, she used to speak on politics, and I used the analogy of the kids on the playground. Imagine a child, and I've seen this, we've all seen this, a child playing with a toy. They put it down because they get bored with it and go play with something else, and they're fully enthralled in that something else until another little kid comes and picks up that toy that they were playing with, and they see them playing with that toy, and then they rush over there and snatch it back, and they say, mine. And the other kid says, but you weren't playing with it. And I also don't believe, I believe that we are in a very politically aware environment. Everybody's woke these days to politics, so everybody's talking about politics. That to me, Cardi B speaking on politics didn't make me feel like she was into politics. Um, but Nicki Minaj is wading or attempting to wade deeper in those waters. So that's why I said that she had tried and failed. Even if she spoke on it before, everybody does. Everybody did. But the combination between her, and I know she just spoke out about Independence Day and Black Americans the day after her and Akbar got into it, and Akbar called her out about not being black. So between her picking up politics and Jesus, so nevertheless, I'm not here to criticize the movement because to I want to see that it is genuine and that people are starting to look for a part of themselves that is more than just the mundane, the 3D world. For people who have no concept or who are babes in spirituality, Christianity is a great place to start. As long as you continue to grow and evolve and don't get stuck in indoctrination and religious practices. Um, so I'm going to start with an oracle like I did the last time. How's Jesus going to do that, sissy? I thought I've taught you guys enough to know if Jesus was going to stop it, he wouldn't have allowed it. Something that's supposed to be God incarnate wouldn't move backwards. If I'm Jesus and I ordain Nicki Minaj to be the queen of rap, then I'm going to see to it that nobody else can successfully do it. Everyone fails. Cardi B is doing, I won't say she did it, but she did it the best. She's done it the most successfully. So I get what you're saying, and I'm sure she has. But how many for generations, how many of us, Negroes, have been taught to pray for things that we've never seen? Uh, That's how it was given to our ancestors, and then they kept passing it down to us. And now it's second nature to have faith in things that never show up. Also, to demonize the spiritual systems that make shit show up. Because all of a sudden, everybody's, including Cardi B, all these black people are talking about voodoo, African spirituality, as if it is a yuck. And while I'm personally not offended, I will say careful. Careful, because you all, we can use that same example or analogy on every Abrahamic religion. All of them. The Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims. You know what they all have in common? Blood, war, violence, aggression, oppression, subjugation, and a requirement for obedience above all else. Jews and Muslims are currently in war. And when have they had a season of peace? And you throw the Christians in there led by the US, and you have the war in the Middle East, the various wars in the Middle East. Again, where are the Babalawos invading nations and subduing citizens into bowing to the Orisha? It's not the spirit's fault that you guys live lives full of chaos, and no matter what religion or what God you claim, you'll do evil. You'll do wrong by all spiritual systems, because it ain't a good or evil without your body to inhabit it. Nevertheless, I'm here to see if this is a genuine, if there is a genuine spiritual awakening going on while we see Christianity hit Hollywood and back in the school systems after Jesus got kicked out. I'm only 38 years old. Only 38 years old, but I remember when they kicked Jesus out. And I'm here to see them welcome him back in. Y'all want these people to lead y'all? They don't even know what they want to believe in. These are people who believe in nothing, just whatever is convenient. Who kicks Jesus out of schools and then calls him back? They kicked Jesus out, brought the LBGT studies and curriculums and endorsements in, kicked those out and brought Jesus back in. My, if that isn't lukewarm. But this is this is the nature of Christianity, to be honest, the version that you all have. Nevertheless, for some people it might be a start. So let's see. I'm going to start with the oracles. We're going to let the divine start us off. Most High Mother and Father God, first and foremost, forgive me if while I stand in this path I am being nothing more than a cynical. Remove that part of me so that I can focus on just divining a message. Spirits, Most High Mother and Father God, as well as the ancestors of humanity itself. Today, Jesus has been called back to the White House and back to the Hollywood, back to the schools. Oracles, oracle spirits, ancestors. Through these oracles, can you tell me if there is a genuine spiritual awakening, a genuine human evolution upward that we see with their embrace and call for Jesus specifically? They specifically say Jesus. And I say they specifically say Jesus because growing up, my family would say things like, Our Father God, or we'll start our prayers off with Father God. And in some point, through your son Jesus would be thrown in there. But the initial salutation would always be to the head source, as we believed, of God. And then they would acknowledge whatever else they asked for to be made manifest through the Son. Now, if you're going to be in Christianity, I think that's a logical way to look at it. That's how we were taught growing up, that it's God and Jesus. And it was confusing because they'd be like, Jesus is God in the flesh, but it's because God couldn't come to the world in the flesh. That's how they said it. But that's why I say specifically, Jesus is being called. They say they are Christians, but everybody is saying, I am a believer in my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. They make sure they say that, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. What does Lord mean? It's not an English, well, it is an English word. So what does it mean? Now, I know what it means, but I'm here to tell you in case you don't, because not everybody thinks to look up the words they use to understand what the meanings are, because you think words are just words. Lord, meaning a person or deity with authority, control, or power over others, acting as a master, ruler, or chief. First and foremost, even when I got deeper into my path that I'm on now, I still, in the early days, used to treat the spirits as if they were gods or lords over me. I would go before them with trembling and fear and trepidation until at some point I began to mature and the spirits start telling me, do not worship me, do not serve me, don't bring me sacrifices, bring me offerings. Things to say thank you for helping me, for assisting me. Their assistants, their messengers. But I do not worship any of those spirits. While I do understand that there is a force of nature that put all of this into motion and keeps it in motion. So I notice that people are proclaiming Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. Why I believe they do that is because they want to reaffirm the subjugation, the rulership and mastery over you. Whether they believe it or not, it's my opinion before I start pulling these cards that they're influencers. So when you see them saying that they wholeheartedly practice this, even if they don't, you do. You get into it wholeheartedly without the resources that they have to withstand any spiritual blowback from worshiping spirits and making them gods over you. Spirit, this new, this renewed um, PR campaign for Jesus, is that indicative of a genuine spiritual awakening in the mainstream media? Typically, spiritual awakenings that are natural don't need influence, and they happen with the masses first, and then Hollywood picks up on it to follow. Spirit, oracles, divine, those of you who are wise, those of you all who are watchers and monitor us humans and aid in our evolution, are the people who are calling, Lord, Lord. Are they experiencing or seeking through Jesus a genuine spiritual awakening or evolution? Well, I wouldn't like to see a reversed oracle, especially one that says the end of a tough cycle approaches, but it's in reverse. It's a full moon in Capricorn. When I did the first message 2 years ago or a year and a half ago about the upcoming push for Jesus in mainstream that we're seeing now, we were on the brink of Pluto moving out of Capricorn and going into Aquarius. I delivered a few oracle messages in between then because it was such a monumental transit. Hasn't happened in ages. Um, so it was along the line of when I did those messages. Again, I called the push in mainstream of Jesus. I called the attack on African spiritual traditions. And I did a reading on Pluto and Capricorn and what that would look like for us. So this reminds me of when I said it the first time because it was around Pluto shifting out of Capricorn. Here we have this full moon in Capricorn in reverse. The end of a tough cycle approaches. This is a ram or a goat with a fishtail on it, not a lamb, but a ram, a goat. Now, the fishtail is probably indicative of Aquarius, the ram or the goat, Capricorn, because Aquarius comes after. So it's on the tail of the goat, Capricorn. Even though Pisces is the fish, it's still the water bearer. So there's something watery or spiritual about Aquarius. There's a deeper spirituality about Aquarius. And what is that? Freedom, liberation of the soul, i.e., liberation of the soul, liberation of the human, liberation. What does the word Lord mean? A person or deity with authority, control. All of those are Capricornian themes, or power over others, acting as a master, ruler, or chief. That is what Google says. Now I'm going to type in Aquarius and liberation. Now I'm only looking up these definitions for you guys just to lay a foundation. I don't need Google for this information. Aquarius and liberation. And I'm doing this to show you that the soul and freedom, liberation, freedom of the people um, are themes of Aquarius. In astrology, Aquarius is deeply intertwined with liberation, as the sign is famously ruled by Uranus, the planet of rebellion, unpredictability, and sudden breakthroughs, rather than traditional. It says romantic bondings because I guess people usually look for romance stuff. Aquarian energy is often described as a force of revolution that seeks to break oppressive boundaries and foster autonomy for both the collective and the individual. This is a Capricorn card. Now I'm going to type in Capricorn and tradition. The Devil card is ruled by Capricorn. Capricorn is heavily rooted in tradition because it is ruled by Saturn, the planet of structure, discipline, and time. Only an authority figure would be able to discipline you. This earth sign views traditions as essential foundations for society and personal legacy. They naturally gravitate towards conventional values, family customs, and established structures because they offer security and reliability. Capricorn and control. Capricorn's need for control stems from their planetary ruler Saturn, which governs discipline, responsibility, and structure. They crave organization and clear boundaries to shield themselves from failure. While often labeled control freaks, the control is usually directed internally through supreme self discipline. Capricorn is by nature a sign that prefers control in all its form. I mentioned that because I was talking about the messages that I was doing as Pluto was getting ready to move into Aquarius. And then is when I talked about Christianity is getting ready to come back to keep you all stuck while we are in a season of liberation and freedom. Has Christianity been used as a tool of control? Ask your slave ass ancestors, if you could. So the end of a tough cycle approaches in reverse. That means the end of a tough cycle is not approaching. Want to know why? Because mainstream is pushing society back into Pluto and Capricorn. What happened when Pluto started moving out of Capricorn? All systems and industries begin to fall. Celebrities who have been on top forever, gatekeepers, begin to fall. Industries, fashion, music, politics begin to see chaos. And to this day, we are still living in the effects of Pluto moving out of Capricorn and snatching everything that's supposed to be structural to our society with it. Why? Because you all don't even know you were living in the Truman Show. You weren't growing, you weren't evolving that way. You were being controlled by design because it supports the hierarchy, the structure, the system. The top controls everything. You all just get happy to get a piece of the pie and a glimpse at the American dream through a peephole of a door that you may never enter into. When Pluto moved into Aquarius, the result of those systems being snatched down and snatched apart by Pluto saying, "Set me free, unhand me," was this new generation of woke. Everybody's woke now. Epstein files, everybody's still talking about those. Everyone has a commentary about politics. Everyone has a deep dive into everything now because everybody wants to be aware. Everybody is like, no, we've been living a lie this whole time, and now everybody is hungry for truth. That is a result of Pluto moving into Aquarius. But what does mainstream do? They get their influencers on board to start playing a show for you. And this show is Everything's Better on Saturn. Soundtrack brought to you by SZA. Who just came out today and said that she was professionally diagnosed with autism. I guess that makes her even more cool. But they want you to go back. Everything's better on Saturn, is what her song says. Everything's better when we control everything. We don't want you all to be ripping the veil of our Hollywood activities. We don't want you guys to be ripping the veil of our political activities and the things that we do above your heads. You call it behind the scenes, they call it above your heads. No, life's better in Saturn, where the system is maintained and there's a hierarchy. We don't want you guys penetrating our wall that keeps us separate, that keeps us superior. Life's better on Saturn. Life's better when the elites are in control. We don't like it when the industry is falling apart because we can't make any money. We don't like it when the industry elites who've been doing crimes and things like that are getting exposed, because that means the industry crumbles and we can't survive. So life's better on Saturn. Capricorn's need for control stems from the planetary ruler Saturn. Oracle. A personal issue reaches resolution. This is Cancer. So the floodgates are fully opened right now. So much has been exposed. They want you guys to go back. They want you to moonwalk. Moonwalk back into your slumber. Believe in the impossible in reverse. Prosperity lies ahead in reverse. Okay. All right, now let's dig into it. The oracle said no, it's not a true spiritual awakening. It's a trap. It's actually a trap to keep you guys from the true spiritual awakening that awaits you on the other side of Christianity. If you weren't so afraid to believe in the impossible, could it be possible that the spiritual systems that are black, that they've been demonizing, are really the salvation that you've been asking for? Why would they demonize something unless it had power? The power that can break even their chains. You saw Haiti do it, and there are plenty others who do it in the shadows. I do it. Y'all run around scared by ICE, praying to Jesus to keep y'all out of ICE. You get detained, and then you got to call a bitch like me to get you out. In less than 90 days at that. True story. Pray to Jesus to help you heal cancer. Lord, I'm dying. Save me from cancer. Then you got to call a bitch like me so I can put you on a 6-month regimen of herbs and rituals, as well as your regular treatments, because I'm not no doctor. And then boom, 9 months later, cancer gone. And we here on live ringing the bell together. Y'all was here. That was a client of mine. They say it's evil. But check my resume, just using me for an example. See how many thanks, how much appreciation and gratitude you have from people whose lives are on the line, and they call a bitch like me when Jesus don't pick up the main line. Today, hurting you back to Jesus. They are also demonizing stuff like voodoo, hoodoo. In evil hands, yes, those systems can do some damage. In good hands, yes, those systems can do some good. In the wrong hands, Christianity has done some wrong. In the right hands, Christianity has done some good. You know what the common denominator is? Our asses. The problem with Christianity, though, it absolves you of any of that accountability that will help you say, wait a second, no matter what religion I use, if I'm a fuck nigga, I'm gonna do fuck nigga shit. Christianity says it's the devil, not you. And all you have to do is go and pray the devil away. Believe in the impossible. It is the war on spirituality. See, I'm sitting here looking to see if people are having a genuine spiritual awakening. And my spirit said, you should never, in the rest of your lifetime, look for the masses, the collective, to have a spiritual awakening. Because we're not in that time anymore. We are in the days of judgment. So everyone will go where they will be judged. Nevertheless, since that's the topic, I'll do a reading on it, and then I'm going to look into the war on bitches like me. Because this channel has 9 people watching me right now, but I've got almost 4,000 subscribers. I've been shadow banned for months. They had me popping when I was talking about celebrity bullshit. The moment I said I can't do this anymore, my spirit is calling me somewhere else. They said cancel that bitch like Nino. You know, I was talking to one of my celebrity clients over the weekend, and we do FaceTime with each other, I'm sure because they want to make sure I'm not recording. And I'm like, I ain't got to record. It's the feds is. And speaking of the feds, it's the hardest FaceTime to get through that I've ever experienced in my whole time having an iPhone. Because first of all, the call, it kept bad connection interrupted. I'd be muted, she'd be muted. It's like every 15 minutes we had to stop and do a connection check or literally call each other back. And for the life of us, we couldn't figure out what was going on. The computers were working fine, but being on that FaceTime, and then I said, ugh, they don't want me in the algorithm, and they definitely don't want me to have access to you all. They're highly paid influencers. What happens if I get a hold of y'all and start helping you heal, helping you transform and shed skin? What if I help y'all be more powerful than them in the industry? And I'm talking about y'all celebrities. So they definitely don't want me to have access to y'all. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. They pay y'all too much to push agendas. And I might teach you how to be more powerful than the big dogs. And is, and do. So yeah, that call, they really was pushing that red button down at the Apple factory, pushing that disturb button, cut the connection button. Anyways, all right, let's dig into it. Some other things I peep, but I won't say just yet. Sometimes I wait for things to come out in the open to say it, or to say something I observed about it, because y'all don't be hearing me, man. Y'all don't be hearing me. I ain't talking about sissy. Y'all don't be hearing me. I wake up every day and see something I saw or said to the point where I just get so discouraged, to the point where now I'm looking for new versions of myself because I just, it's like if I see it, I don't have to believe it. Even if I see it, I ain't got to believe what I see until it happens. Then I get discouraged because of the other things that I saw as well that I didn't want to believe. Makes me feel like maybe I have to recheck my purpose because I'm not in the spirit of serving anymore. Um, and that's where I was. All right. Most High Mother and Father God, thank you for this Sunday. Thank you for the people who are chilling with me late night over here on Beyond the Veil with Adina. Spirit, recently there is a resurgence of Jesus, hallelujah, in mainstream media, politics, in areas of society, at least here in the U.S. Spirit, is there a genuine spiritual awakening, even though the oracle already said, girl, these spirits is dead. I told you we're in the season of judgment. There is nothing to awake. They are dead. Nobody's calling the masses anymore to wake up. The choice is yours now. Spirits ain't gonna strive with you forever. And they've left the chat. You gotta come to them because they put it right there. Right there. And you still waiting on a bitch to part the clouds. It's like moving the goalposts. Spirits did everything to show you the way. But them white people told you, no, 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 no. You got to wait on the man to part the clouds and on the horse. And for generations, our ancestors, our loved ones, have been going to their grave on their deathbed, using their last words to tell you to stay saved and wait on Jesus to come back in the clouds. To this day, I got elders in my family who will still look up in the sky and say it's a perfect day for Jesus to come. Look at the sky. Bitch, it's a perfect day to go to the beach. Is Jesus at the beach? Because that's where I want to be on this day. You're right, it is a beautiful day. Jesus is a fisherman. He'd be out at the beach. Bitch, let's get on the boat. Jesus said, be like me. So we in two different realities. You looking up waiting for him, and I'm looking at the ocean trying to get on the boat and get some mullet. Trying to get some mullet on the hook and in the grease. Okay? And that's the difference between religion and spirituality. Jesus was a fisherman. The Christian will look up at the sky and say it's a perfect day for Jesus to part the clouds. The spiritual person would say it's the perfect day to go fishing. Look at the clear skies. The water's gonna be great. The fish gonna be jumping. We can feed a whole multitude. While you looking up the sky, waiting for a bitch to part the sky. And now they got holograms. So they finna give y'all asses exactly what your grandmammy's been waiting on. Imagine Jesus moonwalking. Because you know Michael Jackson is all the rave now. Moonwalking from the clouds with a glitter glove and a sword of righteousness. My God, I'd watch that shit. I'd sit on my porch and watch Jesus moonwalk out of the clouds with a blunt. I would. All right, Spirit. Everybody think I don't like Jesus. Bitch, Jesus is the homie. He like to fish, like my uncles. He like to fight, like me. He's spiritual, like my whole family. Bitch, Jesus is the homie. He had a bad, freaky ass bitch named Mary too, who liked to bust it open, and she'll fight for him too. She held him down. That sound like my Uncle Leo. He stayed with a bad crackhead bitch when he was out on the street on crack. He stayed coming and asking my grandparents for money with a crackhead white woman in the side in the passenger seat, doing all kind of freaky crackhead, no teeth kind of shit to him. And that's why he was out there for 30 years. It wasn't just the crack, it was the crackhead white women. Y'all ain't know it was white women crackheads in Central Florida? Uh, those stereotypes that they give blacks for being addicts and stuff like that wouldn't stand a chance in Florida, honey. Wouldn't stand a chance in meth, Florida. No, no, no. They walking around here looking like the Walking Dead, tweaking. That fentanyl got to them bad. And before that fentanyl, it was the meth. But that fentanyl, ooh, them white people got hold of that, boy. Hey, didn't even know what a fentanyl was. To the news stations in here in Florida start warning us. All these pictures of Caucasians with sores all around their mouth, and fentanyl was doing them bad. Don't let them lie to y'all. We smoke weed. No, y'all do a little line every now and then. I don't, but y'all do. Pop a pill every now and then, a little perk. That fentanyl different. That fentanyl take you out. First time, one hit, one line. Narcan just flying off the shelves. Because every other street corner got a fentanyl head bent up, tweaking and looking like a rabid possum on the side of the road, and they just hit them with that Narcan, and some of them they just start leaving there. They don't even want to save them because they just look so bad with that meth and that fentanyl. Y'all don't do that fentanyl and that meth, please. If you black, if you white, don't do that fentanyl. Do something else. Just not fentanyl or meth. All right. Spirit, is there a genuine spiritual awakening in the politics and mainstream media that is causing mainstream media, celebrities, and politicians and all other systems of society to incorporate Jesus back after they kicked him out? I was there for it. I saw it. Jesus got kicked out of society. Jesus got kicked out of society, and then they start embracing the occult and the LGBTQ. I was alive to watch history happen before me so I can account for it. I'm a living testimony. I watched it. In my elementary school, we started our day with a prayer. And I remember my teachers, my black teachers, complaining about it. And man, they start oiling us down so much at school. We all just slid through the hallways. They start anointing us from head to toe. Once they kicked Jesus out of school, you couldn't tell our parents that the rapture wasn't happening the very next day. Man, it was like the end of the world, and everything was the devil. If only we could see what the world would look like then. Now we'd say, oh, this was just the beginning, bitch. Any form of virtue or morals that society had, they stripped them down. Okay? It was not cool to have any virtues or morals. Look, it's not even cool for men to sing love songs in the rain anymore. They don't even want to be nice to bitches no more. There's a lip gloss called gonorrhea. Anyways, all right. So before I begin, there is a card in here that represents spiritual awakening. It is the judgment card. I would like to see that upright for a genuine spiritual awakening, either in the crowning position or the present position. It needs to be in those two positions for it to be genuine. All right, now, I told y'all, judgment upright. I need to see that as above or in the present position for it to be a genuine spiritual awakening that we see here. If not, then you guys should ask yourself, why are they pushing or campaigning or pushing the agenda of Jesus? And if they really believed in it, why would they play with it like that? If they really believed that a Jesus was real and powerful, they wouldn't play with Christianity the way they don't play with Vodun or any other type of spirituality that they demonize, but they don't play on its top. The ones who do ain't usually around to speak about it or to be heard. All right, Spirit, do we have a genuine Christian movement here in the mainstream, is what I'm saying specifically. Ten of Wands is a card of oppression. It's a slavery card. Let me Google it for you, because y'all don't be believing me. Y'all be coming in here trying to tell me how to read. Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands is the final card in the suit of Wands, representing the peak of a cycle characterized by burdens, heavy responsibilities, and extreme effort. It symbolizes taking on too much, feeling weighed down, and carrying the heavy load of your duties alone. Ten of Wands and oppression. The Ten of Wands, often titled the Lord of Oppression, symbolizes severe burnout, crushing responsibilities, and the heavy toll of overcommitment. It indicates that you are carrying a load that is no longer sustainable. This oppression can represent an external authority, oppressive structures, or the restrictive habits of the false ego that keep you tied to exhausting expectations, like the expectation of your Savior arising to save you from things that you had the ability to change all along. There is a clear path forward. The end of this difficult cycle is near, provided you are willing to let go of what isn't yours to carry. Now, why, if I ask, is there a genuine spiritual awakening going on with them bringing Jesus back to the mainstream? Do we get the Lord of Oppression? Remember what we talked about when I delivered the oracles here about Capricorn and Pluto in Capricorn and then Pluto in Aquarius and what they were trying to bring you back into? Oh, look, they asses ain't even in this card. You're the only one believing this religion, and you're the only one bogged down by it. You're the only one. They don't even challenging position. Four of Wands. This is them making it mainstream. This is them giving it a platform. Hey, everybody, come on in to the congregation. We're all Christians in here. That's the challenging position. This reminds me of Hollywood. This looks like a mansion on the hills. And this is a wealthy person's home. These are the wealthy people, and they're having a gathering a, a gathering, a festive gathering. They're either greeting guests or um, waving them off. You have the people here in the background, so it's a celebration. This is Hollywood here, and this is them saying, "Hey, everybody, Jesus is over here." That's in the challenging position. 4 is a foundational number, so the challenge is making it stick, making it real. In a day of Pluto and Aquarius, there's so much enlightenment going on, so much wisdom is being acquired that they're having a hard time, or the challenge will be platforming Christianity in the age of information, which is also Aquarian. Because we're in the age of information, nobody should be ignorant about what they believe in. But it seems that they're banking on you guys just going with the same Christianity that you've always had, hoping that none of you in this age of information have taken the time to look into that. They know you look into celebrity gossip, so they give you plenty celebrity gossip. They know you guys don't trust the government, so they give you big bad bullies in the government and the Epstein files. But I think they also know that there is a spiritual movement going on. For one, I'm shadow banned on YouTube for a reason. This has not been my first encounter with the system. I've shared some, and there are encounters that I don't share. But they have their eyes, and they'll do what they can to silence the voice of people like me and then give you a leader to spite someone like me. Past position, Nicki Minaj. I was just about to bring her up. I was just about to bring her up. Why? Because I peeped something. I peeped around the time that I got shadow banned. It's around the time Nicki Minaj made her debut into Magaland and hyper Christianity, the one that's over there being used by this administration. So, Nicki Minaj, why her? For one, she's black. Why does that matter? Because there's something or someone that is that has a loud voice in the spiritual community that is seen as a prophetess. Nicki Minaj, though, is more known than this person, has more influence than this person, and they have watched her influence in action simply because the entire black community was anti-MAGA, and they were drawing the lines in families, marriages. I've heard people say they got a divorce about differences. In this age of politics, people are cutting off families. And I spoke about this here before, and even Sissy said that I clocked her, even though I wasn't trying to clock her, but what I noticed. So they tested the waters to see how much about that life y'all really were, because the blacks looked like they were getting on one accord about something. Nicki Minaj came out as MAGA. The next 2 weeks were full of think pieces from people in the black community who all of a sudden did not care about what you believe anymore. They didn't care that Nicki Minaj was MAGA, or that she was on stage with Erica Kirk, or that she said that Trump was handsome, or the level of Christianity that she had found herself in at the same time that she hooked up with MAGA. All of a sudden, Nicki Minaj, and people have been saying it, but these days I've been hearing Nicki Minaj is a prophetess. Nicki Minaj predicted it. It happened just like Nicki Minaj said. So this Queen of Wands here coming up is Nicki Minaj, because I told you guys a while ago that she was being used for her influence. Here she is. In a reading about the resurgence of Christianity in mainstream, she set it off. Amongst the black community, she set it off. And now every celebrity, when they get an award, didn't Tiana Taylor do it? Tiana Taylor, I believe, recently did it. Cardi B abandoned her ancestors and her Orisha. Those are just some of the few, but it's what they needed her for. Remember, for weeks I was saying, what did she add to them? What did they need from her? Now, what I didn't share is that I read that a couple of times privately to myself and never said anything to you guys about it. Because I feel like at the time, I just ain't feel like being the one. So I just kept my mouth shut and peep game to some things. I noticed chess. I noticed when certain things happen as a response to certain things that have happened. Nicki Minaj, the Trump administration, she might have went to them needing their help, and I was saying, what value did she add to them? Her influence. Her influence. Help us make Jesus cool again after we decided that he wasn't. All right, so that's Nicki Minaj in the past. The future. Four of Pentacles in reverse. They're going to push it. And this is the card that I get usually when I'm reading people who think, and I know you guys are going to hate me for this, but who think that their opinions and ideologies are their own. This says, you are mine one way or the other. I will control you one way or the other. Sometimes this is a release of control, but not in this instance. In this sense, humanity and everything in it is seen as property. Money, theirs. The land, theirs. People, theirs. This world is theirs. Christianity creates better slaves because it teaches obedience and it teaches faith in things that are contrary to what you really see in front of you. Like a slave master beating its slave, but then also telling you to pray for heaven to a merciful God when you are actually getting beat by an unmerciful master. Teaches you how to not look to the world for peace or a better place. You'll get all of that when you die in heaven. Teaches you to turn the other cheek. And for those who think that they are radical Christians, it teaches you to protest. But this is a miser. This is called the miser. You know what miser comes from? Or is the root word for? Misery. Fours are boxes. Boxes. You can't get out of it. You need a triangle so you can get out of that apex. Boxes trap energy. Fours, squares, closed top, closed bottom, closed sides, closed minds. They're closing whatever's left of your mind. that technology and the social world is not sucking out of you. My God. Crowning, Three of Swords. I see betrayal and oppression in both of the positions where I needed judgment to be to see a genuine spiritual awakening. Look at this. Does this look like a genuine fucking spiritual awakening? Does the Lord of Oppression or the Miser? Any of them? Oh, where's the Star card? Where's the Hangman? That's the Jesus card. Where's Judgment? Where's Temperance? Where's Strength? All of the cards that represent the virtues. Pain, sorrow, weeping, moaning, gnashing of teeth, because they tell you that your Savior is coming in the clouds. But the only thing that actually manifests on earth is pain, rain. The Three of Swords is up in the clouds where they tell you Jesus is coming with his sword of righteousness. That story has been more detrimental. Look at this heart, to your soul and your being. The same people who told you that, nothing has rained down from their words but rain and pain. So below. And this is why they are pushing it. In fact, accelerating it. This is happening very quickly. It's almost overnight. And the message is going out to all of the houses. I call it houses within the industries because the labels, the publicists, the managements, the agents, the handlers, it doesn't go straight to the celebrities. It goes to the handlers first. Send the word out and then make sure that your person is on it. So it's like from up top, even the celebrities are being, I won't say that they're being told to do it, but it's being influenced to them in some way. For them as acceptance, because MAGA is ruling right now. And while they publicly can't come out and publicly say, we trying to get down with MAGA, because they saw Nicki Minaj do it and survive. And many of them want to, but don't think they can survive. Nicki did. So now all of them are quietly making their way right where they always were, but in a public way now. Now, that's not necessarily as Christians because they weren't and they aren't. However, it's a whole new sheriff in town. I said that a few years ago too, when I said Trump was draining the swamp to make a new one. It's a new sheriff in town, and they're all now trying to get in alignment because they see how that worked out for Nicki Minaj. It benefited her. It gave her a new shelf life and protections that none of them can fuck with. So now they all want in, now that it's safe to do so. Nicki Minaj did it, she survived, so that we can, so that now that we can. But what they don't even realize is Nicki Minaj is influencing them too. Because now they want to go and get in the bed with Trump and them. But in order to do so, they have to proclaim things like Jesus and Christians, because that's what the MAGAs are over there in white supremacy. You have to bow to their God. At one time, it's Moloch and whoever else throughout the decades, and now we're at Jesus again. So now everybody is bowing to Jesus so that they can be seen as in. And you all will like it. You all will like it even if you say you don't right here in front of me. Maybe not you guys, but the masses will like it. I'm telling you. They say y'all sheep, and I agree. I watch it. I mean, it's Current actions, Nine of Cups in reverse. They're not happy about any other spiritual systems out there. People looking for their own individual spirituality with anything other than what they gave you. They don't like it. They don't want it. So they're currently using their influencers in Hollywood specifically. They believe that's the way to get to the White House, the man in the White House. But Trump isn't Christian. The Jews need you guys to be Christians. So you guys don't tell them that since you're Jewish, then I'll just be what you can't have another Haiti gaining their independence in the US. And maybe y'all don't want independence. Maybe y'all want reparations. If you call on the ancestors, you'll be closer to getting them than if you call on Jesus. Maybe y'all want justice for what was done to y'all. That's what they really scared of. That y'all gonna want justice. They gave y'all integration so that y'all wouldn't want justice. All y'all would want was equality. And then as soon as y'all start rebelling and they look around and seeing y'all practicing y'all black ass ancestry and connecting with your roots and listening to bitches like me, now you got to go back to the Lord. Now they'll give you the Lord. They'll let you share their God too. Oh, how is the awakening of Christianity in the industry being seen? By the masses, it's being seen as genuine. This is the masses here. Hallelujah. Praise Jesus. Now, this card isn't the judgment card. It's not a true awakening. The star card is a wish on a star. It's wishing, wish fulfillment. It's a wish. It's a hope and a wish and a dream. Sometimes you got to dream it to make it manifest. But in this case, this is the masses. This is the masses seeking, in a way, something truly genuine. But it's not the judgment card because the masses individually are not choosing themselves without mainstream to seek that path. They're seeing mainstream do it, and then they're saying, you know what? I should be a Christian. Yeah, you're right. Let's love the Lord again because it's cool. This is celebrity worship. And that is why the industry uses celebrities as highly paid influencers, like I said, because you all will worship them as the stars they are. A star to you all, not you all, is a deity to you all. Hopes and fears. Death. Death is a Pluto card because it's a Scorpio card. The inevitable. The inevitable. However, oh, and I say that because these people don't actually believe that a figure is coming in the clouds. They know better than that. They know better. They also know that the day of judgment is already here. So that means the only thing next is permanent consequences, which they expect. However, if you all continue to believe in something that tricks you out of your soul evolution, then every time you die, you're born again here. Maybe not at square one, but at the same square where you left off. except as a baby. So you got to start all over again. What does that benefit them? Well, if you keep coming back and their system is still here, then they continue to benefit from it. Their ancestors continue to benefit from the system that they created. But you all don't know that there's a such thing as reincarnation. You think that's devil talk. You don't know that you come back every time to be a slave until that one lifetime where you choose something else, where you choose to say, you know what, there has to be more that I haven't explored or found out yet. And then your prayer changes from asking for forgiveness to asking for wisdom. Death and hopes and fears, they know it's coming, but hopefully they can trick enough of you out of your evolution so that they come back to so that you come back to serve them lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Outcome. But Christianity has a problem. At least the resurgence in mainstream. I'm not talking about the religion altogether. This is not a condemnation on Christianity. I'm talking about the use, the push of it in mainstream politics and media. Here's Nikki. Here's their problem. I'm not going to tell you who this queen is, but it's the reason they gave this one her spot and her job. We need you to be the prophetess that the masses listen to. What you see, Leo? I'm going to start with the outcome. Now, if this, me clarifying, goes the way I think it's going to go, you Barbs have a problem. Oh, they're trolling me. Thank you, Mama Fakit. If I clarify this, I ain't going to say it unless I'm right. And if I'm right, I'm going to just shake my head. Barbs, y'all going to have a problem. Spirit, what is this Queen of Swords in reverse? Why is she here for the outcome of the resurgence of Jesus in mainstream media? What does this Queen of Wands have to do with anything? I mean, Queen of Swords. The agenda, King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is resourceful. The empire is his. Unlike the King of Wands became the king because he was passionate. He was attractive, he was passionate, and a good fighter. So the people made him king, coordinated him king for those reasons. The King of Cups, he got the popular vote. The people liked him. They loved him. He was the Obama king. So that's how he became king. He ran his campaign off of popularity politics. The King of Swords, they scared of him. They scared of him. Sometimes, if he's in reverse, they're scared of him. If she's in reverse, they're scared of her. Upright, though, he became the king because they fearfully respect him. They know that he makes wise and sound decisions that'll probably be best for the empire. He won't be too emotional. He won't be overly passionate. And he won't be as slow as the King of Pentacles. He will act righteously and just. The King of Pentacles, though, he's the king because he's the most resourceful. People made him king because he will usher in an abundant and prosperous kingdom for everyone. Everybody benefits from him. Everybody prospers. He built this kingdom you see here. He built it. He runs it. And this pentagram that he's holding is probably Jewish, white. King of Pentacles is sometimes white, a white person. But this represents the king of an empire, specifically an empire of wealth, status, lots of money, and prosperity. This Queen of Swords in reverse is a problem for the elite. So they are using their resources against the queen. Remember I told y'all about the devil also being a Capricorn card? Because it's ruled by Saturn. Now look, this is real bondage here. We have the Lord of oppression and slavery by the devil itself. These people are enchained and bound to the devil. And there's the inverted pentagram, just like he's holding. So the industry appears this way, even though it's led by the Jewish people, but really, their deeds are inverted. They show up this way with their money and status, but the industry is ran and controlled. And it seems the industry has an issue. See, they up all night, stressed because of her. The swords that are stressing them out is because of her. She's in reverse because they play chess with her and she plays chess with them. This is why mainstream in the US is pushing Jesus back on the masses. Her. Now, the Queen of Swords is a liberator. She's just, like I just said about the King of Swords, but the difference with her is this hand holds the sword. This hand is for spiritual work. That's what this is on her arm. And I forgot what they call it, but you guys can call it prayer beads. Right hand to the gods, left hand to righteousness and justice. Her spiritual connection, her spiritual insights helps her hold this sword upright in justice and in truth. The industry, though, sees her as a problem because her justice, truth, and spirituality is directly negatively impacting them and giving them a headache because they need to maintain control of the masses. Whoever this queen is, she's cutting these chains off. And the devil don't want your chains gone. She stressed them out, stressing them out. Queen of Wands in the past. Nikki, oh, look what's on the bottom. Judgment. She's stressing them out because she, whoever that queen is, she is alerting the masses to a real spiritual awakening. Look at her. Charging. And look at the industry. Not able to stand against her as a knight. They can't fuck with this one. With the real spiritual. Queen of Wands. Here's a spiritual awakening behind Nicki Minaj. Now, is Nicki Minaj a Christian and does she genuinely has true intentions for Christianity? I believe she did. I believe she did until she became MAGA and saw it being used as an agenda that she had to help push. Not so sure that it's genuine with her, but then again, no, I take that back. No, I don't know, but she was, which is why they chose her. They could have still listened to her pleas for help and rejected her. That's hip hop stuff. We're politics. Bitch, go figure it out. But they said, uh. Not only is she the most influential female rapper, but she also genuinely loves the Lord, and we need a bitch like that. We need a bitch that believes the lie her own self so that she can convincingly sell it to the masses. She was in a bind, Nate. Nicki Minaj had got beat up. She had ops, and they beat her up. But then she found a path to victory and success. But not just by grace. No, this victory and success is gained by steamrolling, running over your ops. They beat her up in a battle. She won the war. But a part of that is having to awaken the masses to Jesus. And I think she was like, that's easy. That's all y'all want me to do? If she's wise, she would have asked why. Why do you all want me to influence people about a spiritual path that they should be able to find on their own? If God is real, why do we need to sell it? One might not have cared though. All right, I've seen what I needed to see. Let me look at the masses with the celebrity worship. Because y'all be believing them. Y'all be believing these people. The Star. And Temperance. Nicki Minaj again. This is the Barbs. You know what? It might not have been as successful of a push all the way from Hollywood if Nicki Minaj's social experience wasn't so successful. This shows a large amount of the social narrative in the Black community, or at least the young Black community that pays attention to the mainstream media. They watched you guys cut your own left foot off to take back everything you stood on so that you can justify Nicki Minaj. And they said, easy, let's roll it out then. Let's roll it out. We thought they were starting to wake up a little bit, but no, let's roll it out. They still ripe for the picking. Temperance. Now, you all are genuinely believing in the Lord, or at least wanting to. Look at y'all flip-flopping. Idol worship. Nicki Minaj worship. Big Nicki, big Sagittarius. When she flip-flopped, y'all found a way to flip-flop. And the industry, because those are pentacles, for Nicki, might have been easier. She's always been this way, loving the Lord. Y'all, though, notice how these 2 cups and 2 pentacles, this is a fool here, a court jester on a stage, also cutting off their own fucking foot so that they don't have to stand with both feet on the business that y'all was standing on before Nicki Minaj moved over there. And then you guys start finding ways to justify to the industry's benefit. He says he tells you guys what to believe, and then all you have to do is justify in your mind how to get there. Spirit, the Queen of Swords in reverse, who has the U.S. mainstream media so shaken up, is that a real person, or is that symbolic? Is that showing the nature of a thought, a movement, something else besides a real person. And I'm going to end on that because it's a real person with two parents and two siblings. And that the system is silencing in some way. They hide the world from this priestess. The system, the industry does. And how do they do it? They're celebrities. They have celebrities now, bloggers. You got academics. He was calling himself predicting stuff about Jay-Z and this and this. They all want to be predicting stuff now. They all want to give you something before it comes out. Why? Everybody's been making their bread and butter doing social commentary. Why do all the voices in new media and old media want to predict things now, to break things now, to be the ones to prophetically tell you something so that they can see, I called it. This is an industry-wide movement here, but it has to come from the top. These are the voices who have the opinions and the attention of the masses. And that is how she, the high priestess, gets turned and reversed. She gets silenced. You can't hear her or see her through all of Hollywood. So many so many people are voicing things now. You got it, like I said, everybody is predicting things now, and everybody wants to be the first to give you guys topics that they still can only do commentary on unintelligently. Why is that? All right, well, Spirit, one more thing. Should these kind people out here that I hope don't fall into any traps on their genuine spiritual journeys, should these people believe mainstream media, politics, school systems, and everybody else in the Western elite hierarchy who proclaims, Lord, Lord? Should these people believe them? Everybody's looking for someone who can lead them that they could trust. If you're still in the business of looking for a leader, let's see if you can trust these people who are telling you to come with us. Let's serve Jesus together. Y'all know who got a church? Christianer. Y'all gonna go? It's a Christian church. Y'all gonna go? It's a Christian church. Why wouldn't y'all go? None of y'all. She does. Yes, she does. Would y'all go? Any of y'all, would you go? Christians, not my busted babies. Because I saw some trolls in here telling me what I was doing was a sin and all of this. Would any of you guys go to Christian church? I heard that there's a tithing requirement, 10 grand or something like that. Like a 10 grand a month membership fee that they call tithe. Spirit, should these people believe the mainstream and they're beckoning to come follow us to the Lord? Should they believe them? Should they follow them to heaven? To freedom, 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 I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. Yes, I just made it a country song. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, cut me loose. That was my country version. That was my Cowboy Carter version of Beyonce's Freedom. See, Charles, Jesus Christ is Lord. Before y'all block him, Charles, would you go to Christianers Church and tithe the monthly membership fee? Aw, Tiara, you were supposed to let him answer first. All right, spirit advice. Would these people be in good hands if they believe celebrities and mainstream media who says we're Christians, so you should be one? 10 of Pentacles. All of these people are ruled by this pentagram here. They're not even able to tell you what they really believe in. The only thing that they can say publicly is whatever their publicists publicly say that they can publicize. Celebrities are going to an agenda led by nothing more, nothing less. You don't see any diversity in here, which means what does it look like if overnight everybody, politics, school systems, Hollywood, they all say, let's get back with Jesus? It's like, did they have a secret meeting that nobody else knew about that we didn't know about? All of them, as if overnight. I could see if it was just individually every other year, a celebrity was down getting baptized and renouncing Hollywood. But they don't do that though. They still do the same stuff. It's just when they get an award or when they need to push it out to the masses by going on live, crashing out, or finding a way to organically say it. We don't see that though. All of them proclaim Jesus, but nobody leaves any of these systems. They don't change friends. They don't stop hanging with their old trafficking, pedophile, and pill popping friends. They don't renounce the evils of the industry. They don't leave the industry for the sake of not being placed in a lion's den. They don't do any of that. They don't start changing the messages that they send. They don't change the way they dress. They don't change the type of projects that they participate in. They just say, Jesus is my Lord and Savior. They're doing it because Trump is pushing it. Lies, 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 lies. Here's this Libra again. All right, well, you guys follow them on down to the devil card if you like. I brought that to you as a omen a couple of years ago, and here we are today, checking it out. A vision from 2 years ago, and here we are, checking it out. It's still on my page. It's titled something that has to do with Christianity, so it's easy to find. Now, Spirit. How does the mainstream media in the U.S. feel about African or Black religions or spiritual systems? Because, Jesus is Christianity is a white ass religion. Yeah, you can say, oh, it started in Africa. Look around you. In Africa, you see an array of spiritual systems that have nothing to do with Jesus. And then you got that one sect over in Ethiopia. So, no. Haitians today are praying to Jesus in droves in poverty. But the one time they called on Ogun, France had to flee. If I was a white Christian slave owner, I'd tell you voodoo was evil too and would send you to hell too. Their hell, meaning, they withhold resources from your nation and punish your nation and things like that. It's their hell. All they had to do is call Ogun back or another spirit. There's plenty of things that they could have done. Nevertheless, I'm not here to talk about the Haitians. How does the U.S. mainstream media feel about African spiritual systems, including hoodoo? Because that's the U.S.'s voodoo. It's a mixture of Christianity, Catholicism, and African voodoo. Because first we were practicing our native tradition, then they start beating Christianity into us. So then we had to merge them so that we wouldn't be caught and killed for practicing our black magic. So the spirits taught us a type of alchemy so that we can still have access, even though we've been cut off from our people and, isolated as we were migrating, exploring people. We explored. That's how we got to all the places that we're found in. We belong everywhere, but no, cut off. So, yes, Black Americans who still have connections with their ancestry, that's what hoodoo is. And yes, it is closed. Hoodoo is the most closed of the African spiritual systems because it's derived from the brutality of slavery in the US, which was the worst. And because all of the other diaspora kind of turned their backs on us. Caribbeans talk trash about us, Spanish people talk trash, everybody does about the Black Americans, you know? So we had to have something too. So with our ancestors, okay, Spirit, how does the mainstream media in the US feel about African spiritual systems, and what will be their actions toward the growing amount of people who practice that in the US? And then I'll go. Present position. Look, remember, this was the mainstream's current actions, and I kept saying they don't like it. They don't like people awakening to and utilizing other spiritual systems, except for the one that's coming out of the White House by the white person. Now, here it is in their present position. It's the reason for the Christian movement. No other reason for mainstream media latching on to Christianity and putting it back in the schools where they can start indoctrinating your kids again with it, reaching back for your kids. You know, whenever a nation invaded another nation and took it over or took over another kingdom, they may not have always crumbled the kingdom. They may have sent their emissaries and ambassadors to then go and teach the ways of the prevailing kingdom. So you send your Christian missionaries to go and teach, Christianity and English and all those other things in Africa like that. That's what that looks like. There is a real true Aquarian, Pluto in Aquarian revolution, not evolution. The revolution happens first. Because first change comes, and then people usually find transformation from the destruction. They are aware of a revolution, and that is the first and last reason that Hollywood and mainstream is using Christianity. They use religion to combat spirituality or religion, a spiritual system to fight a spiritual system. Implementing it back in the schools means they get your children while they're young and they can start indoctrinating them to become Christians, much like us millennials and every generation before us was. Challenging them. Another Queen of Cups. They really have a big issue with a female. So they had to get Nicki Minaj, a spiritual system to combat a spiritual system, and a queen to combat a queen. One that the masses think is a prophetess, but one that really is. So their challenge is keeping this Queen of Cups in reverse and, oh, in reverse. She's in their challenging position. So whatever it is she's pouring out of the cups is what they don't like. And she's pouring out self-actualization. Man, know thyself. The Holy Grail is in her cup. She knows it. Notice her cup is closed though, like a closed system. In reverse though, not only do they want her to not open the lid of her cup, they want her to not be able to be seen. She's here, which is why she shows up as a queen, and she's active. She's been active. She's been working in the spiritual realm for enough to have authority and some form of power behind her. She's in their challenging position because if she's a queen who sits in a chair, that means she has some sort of platform or position to act from. So that's why she shows up in the challenging position, because she's here. And as long as she's here, she will be a challenge to the system. Past position, her. Now this is this woman, but she showed up in a way that showed her as a big dog. The industry or the powers that be saw her as a big dog. The Emperor is an Aries card. Look at how comfortably he sits on his throne. He ain't worrying about nothing. Got Venus. The Venus scepter right here. This woman showed up like a big dog. She has more authority and power than probably they do. And she knows it. And she uses it comfortably. She ain't worrying about nothing. Better than her peers, which is why the Emperor is the culmination of all 4 kings of the deck. Future for how they feel about African spirituality. Oh, Abraham Traore as well. There is a woman that they are concerned with in the U.S. And if this isn't a woman, then this is spirituality itself. I'll clarify to see if this is a woman or spirituality itself, who is active or actively having a revolution in the U.S. in a spiritual sense, while in Africa, Abraham is doing the same thing, but in a more physical sense. Ace of Cups. This queen is a woman. This queen is a woman. And she will open her cup, as she has been doing. And she will pour out and people will receive. Not everybody. She's for the chosen, because only they would understand and receive that real message from what they hear her saying or what they see her doing. They'll know it's real. So this woman is here for the souls who are supposed to be evolving, who are evolving, but not for the masses. Even though in some way she might present herself to the masses. Not everybody, though, will receive her. Crowning how the U.S. elites feel about African spirituality. Look at this. Another card that we had in the reading I did on the mainstream's push for Jesus. The miser. Now, crowning them, their challenge is this spiritual woman here. Their intentions is to hoard society. They do not want you all, none of you, none of us here in the U.S. spiritually evolving, even though they're telling you that Jesus is the reason for the season. This is what their intentions are. Why would they give you Jesus if this is what they want? Could it be because they know that the version of Christianity or the spirituality that they hid underneath Christianity is a trap? It is a trap. And I'm not going to tell you how and why. I don't drop big gems like that on my public live. But if you would like to be enlightened a little bit more and get my big jewels, my big diamonds, then you have to be a member, because I don't cast pearls unto swine. I don't want to be no activist. I don't care about saving y'all more than y'all like yourselves. My job is to sit here, send messages, and walk off. Who they reach, I don't give no fuck unless y'all give a fuck. I promise. All right, so below, Page of Cups. What they want, keep you locked in a box. Can't get out, nothing can get in. Why though? Well, because humans are supposed to acknowledge their other nature. Look, this is your physical body, but look, this person is holding something else. This is supposed to be the soul, the intuition, which is why it talks to the human, and the human can talk to the fish. Your two natures, but your body holds your spirit nature, and they communicate with each other. It's the duality of the human. It's the reason for the Temperance card. Because at every given time, we're supposed to be both of our natures at the same time. And we're supposed to learn how to moderate and go from one cup to the other. But if you knew that, then when you die out of this lifetime, if you came back in another body, you'd still come back less likely to be ignorant, oppressed, and enslaved as someone who never got that, because they were somebody's property, the property of the elites who don't want you to know that you have a soul. It talks to you, you talk to it, and your body does nothing more but hold it. It's what your body is for, to give your soul an avatar on this earth where your soul can exist. It's not to have fun all the time. Fun is an experience. Your soul needed to come to this planet, and all it needed was a suit. But they've taught you that your suit is your all, and that when you die, you go to sleep, and your soul goes to heaven or hell. But how can your soul be talking to you and you talking back if there's going to be a God that saves you? If God had to send a son to save you, then that means your soul isn't communicating to you. But because we know that we have an intuition, sometimes we have morals, we'll feel like we're doing something wrong. That means you don't need a savior. But what do I know? Current actions, here we go again. They stressed. No, they don't want y'all practicing no African spirituality. In fact, whoever has them so pressed is probably a black person who probably practices. Why? Because somebody who is powerful in working woo, they know a thing or two about natural laws. Anybody can go to Etsy and look up a ritual but have no idea how it works, the science behind it. Somebody knows science and they know natural law and a little bit about national law. So this person is a thorn in their side because that is what they don't tell you, is how to fight and op like the elites, not protesting. It ain't even woo all the time unless you know some science, unless you know why you're doing what you're doing. So then you can compound on it to fit more to your intentions. But you got to know natural law too. You got to know how nature works. All right. They stress, but not too much. Why aren't they stressed that much? Well, because they know that a large majority of blacks and Americans are Christians. And it's popular to be exactly that and not popular to be anything but that. And people want to be accepted. People aren't bold and brave enough to be who they are without the herd confirming them. External energy, or how this situation is being seen. Look at the people. Another card we just got behind Nicki Minaj making you guys flip-flop and not stand on any business. Even though all of the business that you thought you were standing on is a stage, it's not real. You haven't even found who you are yet. Everybody's just mimicking and parroting socially constructed thoughts and perspectives. So people who were actually moving away from Christianity are now trying to are now working their way back. The problem is, the thing about the Nicki Minaj and MAGA and the MAGA Christianity is that you guys, the people who do, don't believe it. I use the Barbs for example because that's the experiment that they had that greenlit them, that they could still tamper with the strings of your soul. I use that because, like I was saying, when MAGA was MAGAing, everybody in the black community was on one accord about not fucking with anything or anyone that chooses to be MAGA. And then Nicki Minaj came out MAGA, and I heard all the Barbs start choking on their words. I watched several Barb commentary channels just to see what they were thinking about her switch. And all of them, and some of them I have listened to before that. And I've heard their stances on matters, especially politics. All of them, well, Nicki Minaj can, I never judge a person by their, a person should be able to choose. The thing is, all of the people saying that are only saying that because they want to support Nicki Minaj, not even because you really believe it. And this tells me that people are starting to be in a dilemma, and they're fence riding, because when they're online or around their other Barb friends, they'll do that. It doesn't matter. But in their heart of hearts, in their being, they don't agree with it. They don't agree with the message of MAGA or the religion of MAGA. Both very real realities to them. Their love for Nicki Minaj and how their perspectives about the black experience here in the US. But the juggling, hopes and fears that it works, that their campaign for Jesus works and puts you guys right back in the palace where they can lord over the world in their hands. And Nicki Minaj, they will cast you to the side after you do the bulk of their dirty work, which you've done. I don't see a long political career for Nicki Minaj. I don't see that pivot working the way she might want it. I don't know if she does want to get into there, but I don't see that. She'll still be a good associate of Trump. They're not just going to toss her to the side, but whether she knows it or not, now that she's helped usher a lot of the social media world back into their hands, they don't need their hand on her like this rod that they use to rule with. They'll look back at her when they need to bring her out for influence. Outcome. Hangman in reverse. This is the Jesus card. In reverse, though, this is Jesus being crucified. But now Jesus is up. He can get up. Why ever he's still on the tree? I don't know, because he can get up. You want to know what this means? Oh, and this is a Jesus card because while this person is suspended on a tree like Jesus was, he knew that his death was coming and he knew why. He knew his purpose. So his death was all about seeking enlightenment on the process of death. He was waiting to die so that he can go and master death, understand the process of death. Now, that's upright. In reverse, it means if you were suspended in time, seeking enlightenment, the enlightenment has come, and now you can get up and start moving again based off what you now know. The problem is the outcome is that Jesus is the answer for African spiritual systems. Remember, my question was, how do the elites in the US feel about African spiritual systems and traditions and religions? The outcome for them is their Jesus in reverse, a reverse Jesus. Why? Why is Jesus in reverse? Well, because they're using Jesus to combat a spiritual system that is more evolved than theirs. All African spiritual systems are older than the conception of Jesus. Vodun is the oldest organized religion on this earth. It was the first to be organized into what we can consider a system. Vodun, the oldest. Vodun, the oldest. Before there were Ethiopian Christians. Vodun from Benin, the oldest organized religion on the planet, known to history. Now, they say a lot in Christianity about a firstborn, A firstborn of God, firstborn of God, firstborn of God. And here you have the firstborn religion, which means they took the practices that they had and then organized it into something that could be passed down to their generations with some organizations. And you mean to tell me that sounds like the firstborn of religion? Firstborn, the lamb that was slain. Vodun was innocent before the colonies and the colonizers and invaders came into the lands where we were freely practicing them, and through their missions began to demonize them. And all of a sudden, they became the most evil works of the world. The lamb that was slain, the firstborn of God, the lamb that was slain. And you have African, black ass spiritual systems from people that are just as old as their practices. So, again, how do they feel about African spiritual systems? Jesus in reversed. Let's clarify why Jesus is the answer. And look who gave it to you, the white hand holding the pentagram. Cha. At least that's who more invested in keeping y'all in Jesus' land today. They might not have been over here when we was getting it beat into us, but they sure want to make sure it's beat into you today. Hangman in reverse for how the elites of the U.S. feel about African spirituality, including hoodoo. Ooh, Jesus loves you, and and so do you. You don't know me. Gamer Juice, you're a YouTube bot, and y'all should be so sick of trolling me after I sent my woo over there, and streamers and bots and streams and bots have been under on trial since I touched y'all. It's okay for y'all to be over here seething, not liking what I say, but I touched y'all before and y'all ain't been right since. Y'all been falling off for artists' songs and charts. The feds trying to tie all the elite systems that might use bots up into a bot conspiracy. It's a bot Rico. And I told y'all I was gonna deal with y'all bosses, not y'all. So if you're smart, don't get your boss in no more trouble. Your bosses get touched every day. All right. Jesus is the answer. But why? The answer is being used by force. They are forcing you guys, almost by threat. The same way they did when you first learned about Jesus is when they were killing it into you. They came on boats with swords and guns to Africa. Swords, guns, crosses. It worked then, so they will use it again. And here's Nikki again. You know what? This gives me insights into the elites, and it always shows me just how foolish you all are. You know, until you're in my position and you read people like you all, I can see how there is fear and intimidation around you all. But every time I read you guys, I see scrambling and being so out of the loop. Y'all, Nicki Minaj is only influential in this way to a certain audience, the ones y'all don't even want. It's like they're really banking on her to sell it to the blacks. Since we're talking about how they feel about African spiritual systems. Um, and this is the demonization of magic, which is the foundation of African spiritual systems. But magic is science, and Africans know it very well. Africans and black and brown people. Um, so here's the demonization of it. Cardi B just did it as well, trying to keep up with Nicki Minaj being a Christian. So Cardi B just literally came out and acted as if being tied to voodoo and things like that and Santeria are the worst things in the world. But for someone like her, it would be because she is the drama. She has a lot of evil imagery. She has a lot of crash outs. So if somebody sees her, being tied to that, and they're going to think she's doing something evil. All right. It worked before. Let's see the demonization of it. The Magician in reverse. King of Wands. That's how they lead you. That's how they have success over you, and they practice. The elites are not going over to Poland to invoke the spirit of Odin. Mm-mm, mm-mm. They don't have altars. Well, some of them might have altars with Hecate. They don't have altars with Odin and Astara and all. Well, I don't even know who y'all. I don't even know them hoes. They don't though. But they'll go to Africa and set up a charity or something. They'll go to Haiti and set up a charity or something so they have an excuse to be over there. And what are they doing over there? Getting woo done. I know so many black ass celebrity spiritualists. Now I don't know if that's true, if they have celebrity clients, but they're all doing the woo. Yes, they want the real power and they sell something powerless to you, which is why you can't understand for the life of you why we've been praying collectively. I'm talking about calling down Jesus, praising the church house roofs off. They don't do any of that stuff, yet they maintain their power, their positions, and their status. And so do we. But they gave you Jesus. No, 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 no. They come to bitches like me too. I'm telling you that they come to bitches like me too to get this type of stuff. My clients who came to me, a gay male couple came to me because one of the husbands had been detained by ICE. Now, y'all tired of me talking about this, but that's my testimony. And ain't none of y'all breaking nobody out of ICE with y'all woo. I mean, somebody is, but y'all get it. That ain't something that's just easy to pull off. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. And lawyers sometimes can't even get people out. People scared of ICE. Nevertheless, good church-going gay men, good God-fearing, Jesus down gay men. Help, help. Someone told me that you could help. Yes, one of the busted babies. Y'all always be putting me in rooms that I ain't in, and I appreciate that for y'all. I appreciate y'all for that. Such and such said to contact you because of something that you did for them, and I need you to do the same for me and my husband. And I said, what is that? And he said he'd been talking to his pastor, been praying day after day after day. And the judge initially ruled, a nice lady judge initially ruled that my husband would be released and allowed to continue his citizenship paperwork because he was already doing the paperwork when I snatched him up. But then a nasty, mean man judge went over her head and said, "You got 90 days and we taking your ass up out of here. We don't give a fuck what that first judge said. You're getting up out of here. We're deporting you." Now, the first time he contacted me was months. Months had went by, and then they got that second ruling from that judge. I thought the people had got out. He called me, checked up on me, inquired about it, and then months went by. Then I get a frantic text message. "Please, whatever you have to do, whatever it takes." Never done anything like this before, but I talked to my husband about it, and I'm losing him. He is losing himself in that detention center. He can't stay in there anymore. So whatever it takes. Now I know that means our prayers ain't being answered. And we don't usually do stuff like this, but we're desperate. We're desperate to go to a witch, so they say. Okay. Send me the picture of the judge and the attorney. And who else is involved? The entire Department of Defense. I don't need their pictures. I'll just go get the seal. The United States seal. I ain't got time to figure out which one of them to work. I'll work the whole department. And then 2 months later, a text message. "We haven't told anybody yet, but my husband has been released and he's right here with me." And I came and I told y'all, and I said I was going to give them some time. They asked for a week or two to kind of hide out before they came out to their friends. And I know he told me that because the person who referred him to me is a busted baby. And they probably didn't want her to know either. So I told y'all. But she don't be on YouTube like that, I don't think. But yeah, no, she did hear it, but she didn't say anything to them. But she said she saw them out, and she said they act funny. She actually asked me, if they said anything to me, because she felt like they didn't appreciate what I had done enough. I've never heard from the husband who was actually in ICE after they got out, and he sent me that message to let me know that he was out. I ain't heard nothing else from them people. And that's fine, but I say that to say that the same people who are giving you Jesus, they came to Africa to give you Jesus, and they found out that y'all had the goods. Found out that the goods was what y'all was doing. They seen y'all levitating, flying up in the air. They seen costumes dancing with no bodies underneath them. They seen Africans walk on hot coals of fire unscathed. Things that they only heard about in the Bible and Daniel with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, not knowing that there was the Adewalelus over in Africa. Shadrach, Adewalelu. Meshach, Adewalelu. And Abednego, Adewalelu. They didn't tell y'all that the niggas still do that to this day. And I say niggas because I see it. I've been to Vodun ceremonies. I go to them all the time. They walk on the fire. They walk on it. They stand on it. They dance on the hot coals. Unscathed, untouched. I know a man sprayed up 8 bullets. 8 bullets to the body. Got up and walked away. It was in Haiti. Got up and walked away. It was CCT footage of it. Drive by. Doot, 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 doot. laid him out, got up, walked away. Not stumbled, walked away. No blood. But I know plenty things like this that people call miracles that they're waiting on Jesus to do. Mind you, and meanwhile, they're being done to this day. My uncle just had a conversation with me the other day about the only regret that he has in his life as a pastor and a man of God is that he never got anointed to be able to do the miracles of Jesus, and he never got to see them fulfilled. And it bothered him because he felt like the word said that we should be doing those things. So he felt like I should be able to see them happening today. And that means nobody is right with the Lord because nobody is doing those things. And I'm just sitting here listening to him. I can't even tell him that I've done those things. But I don't have these conversations with my relatives. They have been cut off. They don't get this version of me because they'd kill me like the Pharisees and the Sadducees. All right, let me look into this Queen of Cups to see why they're so vexed with a woman here. Women are the embodiments of spirit, so of course, it'll never be a man. It'll never be a man. A man will get the notoriety for the revolution, but since it might not be televised, it'll always be a woman who kicks that bitch off. Queen of Cups in reverse as their challenge. Why they so vexed with her? Because she's currently active. She's currently active and talking. Pages are messengers. Look around and listen. You might be able to find her. They don't welcome her in elite circles. Why? Because she teaches freedom from the four. She's the fifth element, the soul. She is a high priestess, a witch, a psychic, a necromancer, a healer, someone who knows the things and decides to share them and decides not to. She's active. This is the second time I've seen that she's not welcome. The elites don't want her in elite circles. But in the future, she will continue to be a voice for the spirit, and they will continue to share the good word of Jesus. But they're not sharing no messages of Jesus. They just proclaiming him. They just claiming him. They ain't telling y'all nothing. They just saying Jesus is my Lord and Savior and I'm anointed. As if having some sort of anointing is an automatic effect of being a Christian. Not every Christian is going to have some super special gift. Christianity isn't about being blessed and anointed. It's about a path to self-actualization. That's what the halo is. That's what the enlightenment is. Ace of Cups. Careful this some upcoming week. They'll put something out too. They'll put something out this week. Because for the 14 people who are here listening to this message, that means 14 people that they're going to need to do a PR campaign on for Christianity after I just sat here and made it look like a copycat or an invader itself. Is Christianity a colonizer? I don't know. Ace of Cups. Hey, Syria. Well, hey to you, Nabil, over in Syria. Nine of Pentacles in reverse behind the Ace of Cups. The mainstream media will utilize information, thoughts, ideas that came from this one woman here and pass it off as their own. They've been doing it for months. They've been stealing enlightenment from her, wisdom from her, ideas, temperaments, testing the temperament of the people. And then they'll go and sometimes they'll take something she said and then regurgitate it. Sometimes they'll send their trolls in here to say things like, yeah, tarot is real. Ha ha. But they spelled it Tarro. So I don't know why you're in here with minds that are useful. Chris, you spelled it wrong. No, that's not how Jews speak. That's not, they don't spell it Tarro. Are you a Jew? Is this why you're here now? To take? No, 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 no. You're Jewish, Chris. You're Jewish. And I don't care how you all speak because you guys have been practicing AAVE. Is that how they pronounce it? No, you're Jewish. And this is why the Ace of Cups is in the near future for how they feel about African spirituality. They're here. And I said they would be taking her information. I should be grateful to us. They'll be taking her that information and passing it off as their own in the real world. Here's death in reverse again. It's like they can't keep up with what's going on with spirits, so they look at her to figure out what spirit is disclosing, what's going on, and then they hurry up and rush to put it out with as their narrative. She's probably currently arguing with the troll right now. Ace of Cups. He said that's how they spell tarot, Tarro. Jews, the Golden Dawn, assisted in creating this deck, Tarro, and then back to T. My dear, that's why I say you are Jewish, because only the real firstborn of this earth would know how to spell. Where'd you go, Chris? You're not blocked. Where'd you go? Did your computer get turned off? Did someone come and raid the bot farm where you were? Oh, you're here? Okay, good. All right. This one's for you. Consider this charity. Consider this my gratitude. Most High Mother and Father God, is Chris P. Bacon a real person or is it a bot? If Chris P. Bacon is a real person and not a bot, a computer, or something like that, then show me a card, a court card, a card with a prominent person on it. We'll start there. I'm not here to show you your future, my dear. I don't want to show you that. I'm just here to check you out. No, I'm just here to see who you are. Is Crispy Bacon a real person with a real body? If so, give me a court card. If not, a computer would never speak ill of Israel. Okay. Notice the topic, you guys, and notice the troll. You're the troll, guys. You're not a real person. I imagine there are computers or monitors or something like that. And all of you guys are watching me. I'm about to make up something. Okay. I asked for a court card. It's in reverse though. A sword dealing with communication. The Page of Cups in reverse. The human animus with their soul in reverse. But all of these watchers watching her, the star of the show. You all aren't real. Juicy coochie, crispy bacon. One, two. There are more of you guys out there watching me. A wise teacher, eh? Spirit, give me one card as a message from my ancestors about the two trolls who are currently in here trolling. You guys are going to mess around and get your little bot farm raided. Made up Jewish mysticism? How can I do that? You're a Jew. Which part did I make up? Go buy some Amazon cards in here. Ooh, they're coming out, you guys. Look at my chat. And now you're dismissed, Mr. Bacon. The World card. Notice this lady has two drumsticks, so they march to the beat of her drum, not otherwise. A bot farm, you guys, is in here. This is me, the only real person. These are people watching, but these are the four watchers. Are you not actually black or a woman? More trolls. Nice girl. More trolls. Here they are. My mods must be going to bed, so that means I'm about to go too. These are not real people, not real supporters of this page. In fact, they're only here to insult me. Problem is, I don't care. You don't understand, Erica? You know why they're here. Bots. Oh, you been here? Okay. And Spirit, why are the bots here insulting me? They're not even real humans. Why are computers programmed to insult me based on things that I say? Now, if you guys know I can see this, and you guys know I can follow the breadcrumb all the way back to where you guys are. And if I can't, I work with the spirit who is known for seeking out, whether I know them or not. Seeking out, it's one of the Goetia. I know you Jewish people know about that. You guys know I work well with the Goetia. They're bot farms, but they're... Let us see, Spirit. What is their reason for being here in my life? What was their reason for being here? The Chariot in reverse. The ops wanted to knock me down off of my chariot. Can't be the Chariot in reverse without you being the big dog inside the chariot. Chariot in reverse. To make me crash out, crash my channel in some way. Too much bot activity can make you lose your channel on YouTube. I've told you guys that before. Ooh, Pentacle people. That's the one, Crispy Bacon, who said he was Jewish. The miser. They don't like me talking about what I'm talking about, but they never do. Look. Now ask yourself, who is the Queen of Swords? that we were just talking about that I said I wasn't going to name. Uh, they don't like me talking about. Now, see, here's the devil, but in reverse, it's liberation and freedom. That's what they don't like. Now, why wouldn't anybody want that? Why would anyone not want people talking about who are the real, true, natural firstborn children of this planet with their firstborn religion? That's when the trolls anteed up. When I start drawing the connection between Vodou being the first organized religion, also being the most demonized religion, that is the lamb that was slain, the firstborn, nailed to the cross. Mm, 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 mm. And with that being said, now that I've said everything I needed to say, good night. Thank you guys for joining me late night with Beyond the Veil. This was impromptu. I thought I was going to go to bed, but when Spirit said get up and deliver that message, that follow up to the one we had you deliver 2 years ago, then I get the fuck up and I do what I'm supposed to do. For all the vagabonds, reprobates, and bastards, I suggest you do the same thing. Get on a good foot, not step on my foot. Because you know I likes to dance, and y'all ain't got no rhythm.